Hey, it's me again. This is my second, technically third video on my channel. I kinda wanted to tell to everyone who's watching this that I've downloaded an editing software kind of thing, and that I'm trying it out in this video. As you can probably see, the video is a lot smoother if you saw the previous video, and this is because I used the built-in screen recording on my computer, and I'll only be using OBS to record myself talking, so hopefully this works in my favor. I'm also making a script for myself, so I won't stutter as much as I did before, and that is hopefully that is. I just want to record myself playing some games and capture myself yapping about things involving them. Some pretty basic stuff. I'm just kinda showing off some pretty basic gameplay because it's just too boring even for me to just stuck with a blank screen. And hopefully I'll learn some new stuff about basic tier editing if I have the courage and free time, so I can start talking about some community related things, because I've always been too lazy or kinda too shy to make a channel, but because I was really bored I decided it was gonna be a good idea, and it wouldn't really hurt to try. So yeah, this is just me giving it a shot if I can even learn the very basics of this piece of software that I'm using. I don't really expect a lot from this, aside from maybe 2 or 6 views, but at the minute I'm recording for myself, more or less. So yeah, I still see that I have around 3 minutes left on this video, so I'm gonna try and maybe talk about how weird the player count is. Since this is a dungeon crawler type game where you just collect loot, complete dungeons, collect better loot, and complete better dungeons, repeat. If the game doesn't keep updating, the player attention will eventually drift towards something else. This doesn't mean that the player have quit the game, not at all. I woke up today and saw that Dungeon Quest had only around 1.5k people playing, which seems really bad, but let me explain. If you know Dungeon Quest, you can see that it likes to take a few good months or even a year between dungeons, which naturally makes the player count dip over time. However, whenever there is an update, be it an event, the player base skyrockets, and depending on how good the update is, it can actually stay up at a higher count for a longer period of time. This player count reminded me something we had during Gilded Skies, where the player base was averaging around only 2,000 people playing as well. It had been a couple of months since Gilded Skies released during that time, and there was no notable events that kept the player base playing. So naturally, the number trickled down to an alarmingly small number. Voldex takeover aside, when Dungeon Quest released a new dungeon, we easily saw a huge jump in the player base. I was there myself. All I'm saying is that you shouldn't really worry about if this game is averaging a small amount of people playing during the time I'm posting this video, because the game does get higher numbers whenever any type of event is released. This means that the majority of the player base isn't playing Dungeon Quest at the minute, but a huge portion of them will return into the game whenever there's anything new to do. It's only natural after Yokai Peak is still in the game. It's still the endgame dungeon months after it was released. I won't go over here if I think the recent updates are good for the endgame players, although I think they're healthy for newer ones. But I will say that the only thing about Dungeon Quest that's been pestering me for a while now have been the pretty big amount of bugs. Some characters being swapped out, some armors only have their legs visible, some armors only have their arms visible. It looks pretty weird in lobbies. You probably know what I'm talking about. Loot lag in boss raid, I think that's been fixed, however, don't quote me on this one. Roblox cosmetic glitches and so on. If these things get fixed in the future, and I'm hopefully not coping with this one, I'll have a better experience playing Dungeon Quest. So that's probably everything I have to say about this topic. I don't really know what else I should make up, because I really got no idea for this video. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. So bye bye.